I admired the scenery as we walked. I'm glad we came during the dry season. Looks like there wouldn't be much solid ground otherwise. This wide, flat area was pretty clearly the floodplains for the river just over the hillside, with several tiny plateaus where huge trees had escaped getting washed away. Everything else was dirt. Paint spread her arms beside me, basking in the sun like the little lizardly alien she was. I'm just glad to be outside. It's been so long since we had a delivery on an actual planet, not to mention one that smells nice. It smelled like dry river mud to me, which was nice enough, but maybe those trees were extra appealing to heat-seeker senses. There was a scent of something kind of like rosemary on the breeze, now that I thought about it. Paint was still talking. We're not even in a hurry today. The drop-off went fine, so we can stroll back to the ship at our own pace. This is lovely. I could stay out here all day. The ground rumbled. Splashes and the bleats of distressed animals sounded from the direction of the river. The rumbling got louder. I asked, "Are you familiar with the concept of jinxing it?" Before Paint could answer, a stampede swept over the hill toward us. Paint screamed and bolted. I ran after her, frantically searching for a plateau that was both climbable and close. "This one!" I yelled over the noise of what had to be hundreds of alien fauna. Vaguely buffalo-shaped things without horns. I'd studied them more closely when they weren't closing in fast. Paint barely heard me, so I towed her over to the plateau and boosted her up. She wasn't a natural climber, but she made do, scrambling to safety with me close behind. We made it out of trampling range just in time. I clambered up and lay flat onto the spreading tree, while Paint hyperventilated beside me, an ocean of brown fur rolling by underneath. The rocky ground shook and the tree showered us with leaves, but the branches didn't fall and neither did we, and eventually the herd calmed down from whatever had startled them. The problem was, they calmed down before they finished passing our tiny island. Thundering footsteps slowed to a moaning amble, with buffalo things surrounding us for a good distance in all directions. My phone rang. We both twitched. Luckily, the animals were loud enough to miss it. I pulled the phone from my pocket, hands vibrating with adrenaline, and answered a call from the captain. "Are you safe?" she asked, her voice distant over the phone. "We got a report of local fauna moving unexpectedly." I laughed, wide-eyed, while Paint tried to get her breathing under control. "Yeah, we barely made it. I'm not sure how we're going to get back, though. They're all around us, and I don't like our chances if we try to just walk through." "Yes, don't get too close." I heard claws on keys as Captain Sunlight checked the local information bank. "These creatures are known to be hostile. They also treat approaching shuttles like threats, which doesn't bode well for an air rescue." I tried to breathe deeply to get my heart rate back to normal. Threats that they should attack or run from? "This says they face off with shuttles, and defend whatever territory they're occupying at the time. Attempts to chase them away have been unsuccessful, as have attempts to lead them away." "Yeah, that's the worst," I said, glancing up at the thick branches above. "Our vertical access is garbage right now anyway. We'd have a hard time getting into a shuttle." Paint was looking a little more calm, though worried. "Maybe they'll wander away on their own." I relayed the question in case Captain Sunlight hadn't heard it. She said, "Maybe. Let me contact the local authorities for more information. Stay safe. I'll call you back." I said goodbye and put the phone away, then just lay there listening to my heartbeat and the various grunts from below. Paint sniffed audibly, no doubt appreciating the spicy tree smell. I tried to enjoy the view. The buffalo things had heavy paws instead of hooves, and their faces were misshapen to my earth eyes, more moose-like than anything. The thick brown fur was normal enough, though. I was trying to think of what breed of dog it reminded me of, when a cloud covered the sun. A dark cloud, the kind that might be full of rain. "Oh no," I said. "That can't be rain," Paint said, scrambling up. "It's not the rainy season." I got to my feet, clutching a branch. It could be rain. A flash flood might solve one of our problems, but... Oh, that would be so much worse. Paint hugged her arms close. The air hadn't gotten that much cooler yet, but rain could be bad for a cold-blooded heat seeker. And that was even without considering whether we'd have to swim for it. I looked around frantically. There's got to be something we can do. Maybe throw a rock and scare them into stampeding away again? We scoured the rocky plateau, but nothing came off bigger than a fingernail, and the only things up there aside from the tree were some sparse bits of grass or moss and stray dirt. Even the tree didn't have any small branches that looked easily snapped off. They were all thick limbs. I could probably climb out over the herd if I really needed a stick, but that did not look worth it. I checked my pockets. Wait, I have food. Maybe that'll help. We'd left right before lunch, and I grabbed a few portable things in case the delivery took too long. I thought hard about what kind of food these creatures might like, and how they might react to it, as I knelt and emptied my pockets onto the ground. It was all Earth stuff from the import sector of the last space station we stopped at. A packet of turkey jerky, freeze-dried strawberries, a tube of peanut butter that had thankfully not ruptured in the scramble up here. Pop rocks. I picked up that last one, thinking fast. Paint was reading the label on the peanut butter. Oh, this is the one some of your people are allergic to. I suppose it's too much to hope these creatures are as well. I have a better idea, I said, eyeing the lowest branch. It was sturdy. There were creatures below, and they were all wet from the river. I turned to Paint. Throwing something might startle them enough to stampede if we hit one just right, but I'll bet that's not as startling as the sound of sudden hissing from the back of their neck. Which one of your foods does that? Paint asked. I held up the brightly coloured package. Recreational food. They're basically sugar crystals with tiny pockets of compressed air inside. They pop and hiss when they dissolve. Paint shook her head. I'm not even going to ask why. Great. I shoved the package into a thigh pocket that I'd be able to reach easily, then hooked an arm over the branch and climbed up. Be careful. I will, I said, as the clouds darkened further. Lying on the branch like a particularly awkward jungle cat, I scooted over the edge of the plateau. None of the creatures seemed to notice, busy as they were in nosing the dusty ground for sprouted grass, or whatever passed for it here. Good. I wanted their heads down. When I was over a big one, I stopped and got out the pack, oh so carefully. Dropping it now could well be the kind of mistake I'd regret for a long time. I ripped open the package with care, knees clamped around the branch as thunder rumbled, closer than I'd like. Then I gauged the angle carefully, and poured a stream of pop rocks directly onto the buffalo thing's neck. I heard it crackle and pop as the sugar dissolved in the wet fur. Suddenly, everything was panic bellows and the thunder of feet. I clung to the branch, hoping desperately that it wasn't about to snap off under my weight. All I could see below me was waves of brown fur. It felt like the stampede went on for longer this time. Maybe because I didn't have any climbing to distract me. All I could do was hold onto the branch like the most desperate of baby monkeys, and hope it held. It held. Finally, the rumbling footsteps receded over the hill, leaving churned-up dirt below and a very grateful Paint behind me. You did it! It worked! Now let's go. I think I see rain. She was right. I shimmied back onto solid ground to pick up the rest of my snacks, shoving them into pockets alongside the crumpled Pop Rocks package. Then I helped Paint scramble down from the plateau. Wind had picked up, blowing rain towards us in a visible wall from the west. But something silver glinted in the sky to the north, which grew swiftly into the welcome sight of a local rescue shuttle. We ran for it. It landed on the riverbed, door open and arms waving from inside, and we dove in just before the rain hit. Safe! Paint exclaimed, as the door shut and a Frillian in a uniform guided her into a chair. That was too many close calls for one day. I followed the directions to take my own seat as the shuttle lifted off. A different Frillian handed me a blanket, though I didn't need it. Nice and warm, though. I asked Paint, ready to go back to the indoors for a while? She settled a heat shawl around her shoulders and sighed with relief. I suppose so. Much less chance of getting trampled or frozen there. The official next to me asked, What caused the herd to move away? We were told they had surrounded the area. I grinned and dug out the crumpled package. Recreational food. There were still a few pop rocks caught in one corner, so I dumped them into my mouth to demonstrate. The expressions on the rescuers' faces were great as the candy hissed and popped on my tongue. I poured this down on the big one, I explained around it. Paint added, It worked great. Scared them right away. The officials exchanged a look, then asked to see the package. I happily handed it over and explained where I'd gotten it. Paint said our courier ship would be happy to arrange a delivery of some, if they wanted. By the time we reached our ship, the local officials were ready to talk to the captain about ordering some recreational Earth food to use for an entirely different purpose than it was made for. But that would hardly be the first time.